Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 11. Episode 11 of. Are you guys ready? Are you guys ready for this?
Yeah.
We're gonna say it together. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, let's go. Arcade Parlor.
Arcade Parlor.
That was good. I'm glad we rehearsed that earlier.
Yeah, I'm really glad that we did.
All right.
This is the one thing we rehearse. The one thing that we rehearse. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome to our listeners here. Welcome to those who are here on our second live stream of the podcast here. Welcome however you're listening, however you're watching. Welcome to episode 11. Today's date of recording is July 1st. It's about 1:15 p.m. Eastern time. And like I said, we are live. Our second episode of being live. We had a great time being live. Our first one, so we're like, let's keep doing this. Let's keep doing this. Doing a video version of the podcast is fun. And it just lets, people come in and hang out. They can chat along, whatever. And it's just a great time. Otherwise, we obviously put out our episode the following Monday. I am your host, David, also known as Pancho Taco, mostly known as that. And yeah, I'm here today. I'm the host, as per normal, as per usual, something like that. I don't know. Who else am I joined? I'm also joined by Ashley of the Florida.
Hello.
Hey, Ashley, how's it going?
You forgot the year. It is July 1st, 0 AT, which of course is 0 after Tears of the Kingdom.
I was about to say, do I need to include 2020? Then I remember. Okay, yeah, I forgot. It's in the year of our game, Tears of the Kingdom.
Exactly. Never
Year
forget.
zero.
Year zero. Exactly.
Start a new calendar.
Exactly.
It's the new calendar. I'm happy to be here today. It's a hot day in Florida, as I'm sure anyone could guess. It's like 90 degrees here today. It is 50 days since Tears of the Kingdom released. At the date that the podcast released, it'll be 52 days since Tears of the Kingdom released. And I'm super excited to talk to our guest today. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait either. We'll intro the guest in just a moment here. Mike, how's it going? First, we'll get to you.
I am Mike Cheese Pops. I have the worst stream on Twitch. That's all I got. But it's fun. It's fun for me at least, not for anyone watching. But I'm excited to be here. We have an absolute legend in my top left corner. I don't know where they're on the screen, but I'm excited.
Where is he? Who's joining us?
Who's this? And that brings us to our guest, Aldwulf, episode 11, our 10th, our 9th. I don't know how many episodes, how many guests. This is our 9th guest, maybe.
Something like that.
Aldwulf, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard.
Thank you so much for having me. This is awesome.
Yeah, super excited to have you on here. Super excited to chat with you, give you a chance to get on here. That we can meet you. People I'm sure people who watch you regularly know you pretty well, but they'll probably learn something new, which is awesome. As well as a broad audience too. This is awesome.
Well, I'll go ahead and do a name reveal. So my name is Paul, but I go by Aldwulf.
Name reveal.
Okay. Hey, Paul.
Hey, how's it going?
You know what?
That's a moment.
The face matches the name. Like, if you would have said your name was McGregor.
It's such a Midwestern name,
It fits good. You look like a Paul. I have a cousin named Paul. Look very similar. You're far more handsome. Sorry, cousin Paul. But
get right.
Just saying, it's a good name.
I hope he doesn't listen to this.
He may. Knowing cousin Paul, we watch a lot of Kung Fu together. His house was the video game house growing up. So when I got to visit cousin Paul, they had everything from Atari to like the most modern system and a ton of different games. And weirdly enough, my favorite game to play there was Pac-Man 2. I don't know if you remember that. It's with, you don't control Pac-Man, you control the slingshot. And I loved that game as a kid.
What a strange game. If you've ever played Pac-Man 2, it's a Sega.
I've never played it.
Yeah.
It's like he's walking around, right? And he will only do things dependent on his mood.
Yeah. Like, if you need him to kick down a gate and he's happy, he won't do it. So the play is to shoot him with a slingshot in the face until Pac-Man is angry. And you can tell when he's angry because he looks exactly like my wife looks at me, just rage-filled, flailing arms. And then he'll go up to that gate and kick it down. And that's what you have to do.
Does your wife kick gates down when she's angry?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Nice.
Most of the money that we make goes into repairing the fence in our backyard because of rage issues, but she's in the other room right now and she's listening, so I'm already in trouble. She has a list. She's like, all right.
Add another thing to the list. Add another one.
It's a very strange game. It is not your typical Pac-Man eats dots on the screen. It's like a whole story, and he goes through a lot of different scenarios.
Is that on
and
NES?
It is on Sega Genesis.
Oh.
I think Super Nintendo too, I'm not positive, but the 16-bit era, and it is just, I loved that game, and it's like nothing else I've ever played since. Like, you can say go left or right, and sometimes he won't even listen to you. If he's mad enough, he'll just look at the screen and say, I'm not doing it. And then you can shoot things with the slingshot. So let's say there's like a windmill. You can shoot the windmill enough where it spins, and sometimes it'll fall off. And then that'll make him mad because it's in his back. It's just, I have never played anything like it before or after, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Reviewers hated that game, though. So there's a chance that it's your least favorite game of all time. And to make it a Pac-Man game, it's nothing like Pac-Man.
No.
Nothing.
I still have it. I still have my cartridge, actually, from childhood of Pac-Man 2. I still have it. So maybe
nice.
when I get my Mega SG system in, I'll boot it up. It's been a long time.
Definitely. I know I'll probably get to it eventually. I'm assuming someday I'll get around to it.
Sounds like a speedrun challenge.
Yeah. I've definitely come across some fun Sega games recently. We could talk about that. We could talk about that later. There's some stuff I want to talk about.
Sega was really like my first system that I had was Sega.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, the first system that I had was an Atari. What is it, the 2600?
Yeah.
What's the original? Yeah,
Their names were so dumb. I think it was like
Yeah,
the
I can't
even know.
the classic one, though.
I think it's
that everyone had.
2600. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Was it the
with
1600?
It was the wooden. It had wood on the sides.
Wow.
That's the what? Did you ever play the game Stampede?
It was like a
on
hand-me-down. Stampede? I don't think so.
Legit good to this day.
I had like 50 or 60 cartridges for that thing.
Wow.
Some of my favorites would be Pitfall, like the original Pitfall.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was this game called Tower Toppler, which I actually think was for Atari 7800. So the second system that I had was an Atari 7800, like the most recent Atari. And it was actually pretty cool, but it just didn't really have its time because NES came out like shortly thereafter and just, crushed it.
Right.
But if you if you want like this classic game, it's called Tower Toppler. You're this little frog and you're going around the sides of these towers and the tower's like rotating. Do you remember that game Battletoads, right? You remember the rotating tower level? Yep. That they took that from Tower Toppler. This was something on Atari, and you were like, "Holy cow!" Like it was actually like really good graphics for the time. But this tower would rotate, and you would be like platforming along. There'd be like enemies that come, and you have to dodge them and stuff. And it's like a puzzle, though. Like some of the platforms would like fall, and you'd have to figure out which doors to go in. And basically, you get to the top of the tower, and then you topple the tower. Like you conquer the tower, and it like collapses. And then you get in this little submarine, very much like Super Mario Land submarine, and you shoot these bubbles, and it's like a mini game between levels. You like shoot these bubbles out, and it captures these shrimp, and you just get like points. And I don't even think if there was any reason to do it, but then you end up getting to the second tower, right? And then you like get out of your submarine, and then you have to topple the second tower, and there's no save states, of course, so every tower got like progressively harder and harder with the challenges, like the platforming and the puzzling got super crazy. I never beat it as a kid. I was happy to make it to like level 5 or 6 or something,
Right.
But that is a really cool game.
About to say,
That is
how
a really
many of
cool
those games back then as a kid did we actually ever beat?
Oh, it's so
None.
true.
I think a lot of them you couldn't even beat.
I actually beat Pitfall 2. You want to know how you beat Pitfall 2?
Wait,
yeah.
Is that the one where like you're in blue?
I don't know, but what I remember is that Pitfall 2, you could fall all the way down in these like deep caverns, and you'd fall in this water at the very bottom, and there'd be like electric eels going along. And it was a huge labyrinth, but they never told you what you were supposed to do. There was no plot. There were just 3 things that you could find. You could find a diamond ring, you could find a monkey, and you could find a princess.
What?
I'm assuming you give the diamond ring to the princess and the monkey's like your friend. I don't know. You can make up your own story about it. But once you find those 3 things, that's it. The game's over. But it doesn't tell you. Like, you can just keep, I think, as far as I remember, you can just keep playing and you're like, now what? You know, you're just there. You know, you meet the princess and it's over, and then, but it's not over.
I have to see this in my lifetime. I've never ever heard of it. This is the weirdest game I've ever heard.
Pitfall 2. It's so fun though. It's actually so fun. It's also a drinking game. Fun fact, it's now become a drinking game. But what was I going to say? Oh, you know that one game E.T. that everyone's always ragging on, like E.T., like the worst game in history? I had that game too. And it might be the worst game in history. It might be the worst game in history. Hear me out.
Wow.
When I was in 6th grade, I had a friend who was really good at like programming and stuff. He would program on this thing called Quick Basic, or QBasic for short. And you could do all this like really derpy, like, you know, programming and stuff. And I learned how to program when I was in middle school. And I made some games, and, you know, I might work on a game for a few days, and then it would end up being like an asteroids type game where you're like, well, basically, you would be like 2 parentheses with a hyphen in between, you know? But you'd be like bouncing back and forth, like shooting, like, what was it? I had like a bunch of Christmas things. Like it was around the holidays. So I had like, it was a game where you were shooting, like there would be an elf and like a Santa hat and like all these things that were basically made out of like keyboard characters, you know? And, but anyways, like, these games were legit. Hear me out. Like, these were good games. Like, they were fully fleshed out. I had like a bowling game. I had that game. I had this little fighting game where you were like these 2 stick guys, and one person would have like the right side of the keyboard and the other person would have the left side of the keyboard. And one guy, for whatever reason, he had a bazooka. And so he could use this bazooka. You'd be like punching and kicking, and then out of nowhere, he could use a bazooka and just take off like half your health. The other guy had a little pistol, which he had the same amount of bullets that would do the same damage as the bazooka, but yet it would just take so much longer. So you could just use the bazooka and then like karate kick his head until he was like kaput. You know, so you always wanted to be the bazooka guy. But anyways, I made these games, right? So looking back, I'm like, how in the world did these developers of E.T., how were they not able to make a game that made any sense whatsoever? There was nothing, it was like completely incomplete. And everyone's like, oh, they always give the developers like some credit. They're like, oh, they only had like a week or 2 to like put it together. I'm like, dude, when I was in 6th grade, I was making better games on Quick Basic. Like, come on. But you should see this game, E.T.
I've never actually, I may have YouTubed it just to see some of the gameplay. I've never actually.
It's like you
I
just
can't
wander.
You
just wander side to, oh my gosh, look at this guy.
Pops is holding up a copy of.
Did you find that in a dumpster
E.T.
somewhere?
Atari.
At a pawn shop, and I found
it in a landfill.
Before,
yeah, right.
Like the retro craze, every game was $1, and so like my entire collection behind me. $1 per game, and like I can't buy them now because it's like $20 for even a terrible game. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Have you played it, Cheese Pops?
A little bit. My Atari still works. My favorite game, Stampede, on it, but it's a weird game. They have to do very specific things, and there is joy to be found in it. But the joy is defined in it is that it's so bad that you're like laughing when you're playing. Like, why? How is this anything to do with a kids movie? Like, what were they thinking, as you said? And that's the joy. It's not that it's fun because it's fun. It's fun because it's not fun.
The only thing I remember from the game is like you're wandering around. You'll go left to right or up to down, and it'll change the screen that you're on. You know, and you find this pellet. There's like a pellet. It's in a cave, and you're like, oh. What is this? And you like pick it up.
You're trying to build a phone home. You have to find all the different parts.
Oh,
but also there's the FBI agent coming to get you. And if the FBI agent gets you, he puts you in jail and all of your phone parts go back down into the random holes.
All I remember is like I found this pellet. And then you go out to the main screen and like, you get caught. You just get caught like right away. And that was it. And you just do that over and over again. I guess I never found all the phone parts. It was baffling. It was absolutely baffling.
Can you imagine trying to figure it out without the internet? Like, I needed the internet to tell me what was going on. And like back in the day, it's like what you said with Pitfall. Like, you have no idea what you're trying to do. And the just pre-internet wandering. Time, like, I cannot express this enough. Even when we had the instruction booklets, the clues in there wouldn't really be helpful. Even good games like Link on Nintendo, some of the most abstract clues as to what to do, or let's say Castlevania, you have the blue diamond. Why didn't I think to duck in front of the water? Because water's blue and the diamond's blue. That's what they expected from us back in the 80s. It's ridiculous.
You know what, though? Even Link to the Past. Even Link to the Past had some very obscure things that you had to do.
Yes.
To like get into the dungeons and stuff.
That's called playground talk. You had that like one friend wouldn't tell you where he got it, but you knew he called that Nintendo power line. I figured it out on my own. I knew the whole time. Look, you might not be smart enough to figure it out. I figured it out. And then you go to her brother or something. Like, they called the Nintendo hotline. It's like, of course they did.
Aldwulf, you said something that reminded me of something else. Two people playing on one keyboard. That's something I haven't thought about in a long time. You guys all do that? Like, I remember like at my cousin's house, sitting both of us at the keyboard, like just one keyboard, and we were both playing like NBA 2K4 or something like that on a keyboard, and we're just sharing the same keyboard, trying to play it together. And I was like, I forgot that was the thing that we would do sometimes.
Somebody gets the arrow keys, the other person gets WASD.
Yep. God, haven't thought about that in a long time. Like what we had to do back in the day to game.
I was not a PC gamer at all. Like, we didn't get one until later on in life. Mm-hmm. The only PC games I played were at school on the floppy disks. Like Number Munchers, and I think later like Math Blasters was like on there. And like that's the only time because like, okay, I get to play a game at school, but computers just remind, even to this day, not a PC gamer, they just remind me of like work and school. And there's like less joy for me to play a game on a mouse and keyboard. I still, even if I can plug into a controller, sitting at a computer feels like it's hard for me to escape from reality, and playing a video game is my goal is to escape. But that's just like PC gamers. It makes so much more sense. They're so much more versatile. They're cheaper. You can do more things to them. And I'm like, no, give me a console. I know I'm wrong, but it's too late. I'm stuck in my ways.
No, that is definitely a thing. The disassociating work and other things from playing games. Yeah, sitting in an upright position, kind of. You don't recline typically as often. There's definitely a disconnect there for a lot of people.
As a kid, I was not a PC, or even as an adolescent, I wasn't a PC gamer either. But we did have a PC when I was young. My dad owned his own business, so we had a computer in my house when I was 10. So I was talking to some people in my own Discord the other day about CDs, and I have this old CD book that I pulled out of my closet, and I looked at the back page. Wouldn't you know, I still have some CD-ROM PC games from the 90s still hanging around in my closet. And I found one that's a gem, and I would love to know if any of you have heard of it. It's a Goosebumps game. It's called Escape from Horrorland. Has anyone heard of this?
Is that the point-and-click adventure?
Yep.
I've only heard of it. I've never played it, but I've wasted my life watching YouTube videos about classic retro games. So
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
The first computer that we ever had was a hand-me-down from a local school.
Wow.
It was like a Windows 95, I think it was.
Mhm.
No, yeah, 95. And the first game I ever had on it was, if you can call it a game, spent a lot of time on it though, was Spider-Man Cartoon Maker. Did anybody ever hear that or play it?
Yes,
Really?
the
You did?
Spider-Man Cartoon Maker. Dude, that was so
Yes.
good. That was so
That was the first,
so good.
I put it in quotes, the first game I ever owned.
They had like the
on
classic,
PC at least.
they
on
had like the
PC.
classic sound effects on there. Every time you'd bring like a cop car out, it'd be like 925
Yep.
code 6 10552. Like,
Yep.
they use that sound effect, that sound bite in everything now. I swear.
Wow.
I hear it and I always remember that old Spider-Man comic book.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's so
my
random.
my grandpa
it
had
was-
that game on his PC. So every time I would go there, he had these weird, obscure games on his PC. I don't remember the names of the other ones, but I would always play that one.
My grandpa
It
had
was
the
so
Three
wild.
Stooges on Nintendo. Like, why do grandparents have the worst possible games? It's like, what is that? But you
The
play
Three
them because that's all you
Stooges.
have. It's either learn about your family or play Three Stooges. So I fired up the Nintendo. You know,
I would say that I've always been leaned more towards consoles, but I have played PC throughout the years, even as a kid and stuff.
Mhm.
I was playing, like original Doom and stuff like that with my friends or whatever.
that was the one I was. The first one was Doom, and we actually we had friends come over. And they saw we had a computer. They set it up on the computer for us because me and my brothers, no idea what to do. And we were playing Doom so much until my mom saw it and was like, "Oh no, you can't play this. It's so violent." The 90s Mortal Kombat and stuff like that. So that got stopped pretty quickly.
What, Mom? You don't like exploding demons? What's wrong with
I'm
that?
trying to save the world. Monsignor talked about this earlier today on Sunday, but no. But the second game I was super jealous of was
We're doing the Lord's
Counter-Strike, right?
Oh.
Like Counter-Strike where you could be
Counter-Strike.
a spy and you would look like the other team and you would try to get to their base. And so you'd be the one player walking the wrong direction and everyone's like, that guy's dumb. But you'd actually be on the red team, though you'd look like on the blue team. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever. And I wanted that so, so badly. But those were like, I guess the last one was Day of the Tentacle. Those 3 games, those were the only times I was like severely jealous that I was not a PC gamer.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I played Day of the Tentacle for the first time maybe like 7 or 8 years ago. There's like the remaster that came out, and I had never played it. And I was like, I'm due for a click adventure. It's been a long time since I played one of those, and I played. I was like, there's stuff that hasn't aged well in terms of like, how was I supposed to know to possibly do these 4 things in order? Like, how did anybody ever figure that out? But overall, it was a cool game, especially when you think about like its time and everything. Just really fun. Speaking of click adventure games, did you guys ever play? Ashley, I know you have. You've done it on stream before. Pajama Sam.
Oh my
You guys
god.
ever play those games?
I think I still have a copy in my CD book of Pajama Sam. I loved that game. Loved it.
I can't remember what one it was. It was the one that you played, but I don't know. It's like this. It's definitely like a kid's game.
There's no need
click
to hide
adventure.
when it's dark outside.
That's the one.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's just the classic, click adventure game. You're going through. You're afraid of the monster in your closet or whatever, and you're collecting socks.
Yep.
So it's the weirdest thing. But it was fun.
That's terrible advice, by the way. You definitely need to hide when it's dark. That's why we all stay in our homes at night. Nighttime is dangerous outside. It is. That's terrible advice for kids.
It was a kid's game, and it may have actually maybe even been a little after my time, because I know Poncho Taco Dave is the youngest person sitting here right now. So it was like my little brother's game, but then I ended up playing it because it actually had some elements to it that you kind of needed to be a little older to figure out if you wanted to actually beat the game. But I used to play that a lot, but Putt-Putt Did you ever play the putt-putt games? The little car?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
So cute.
I did.
Loved those.
But talking about click adventure games, those are so good. Those are really fun. Anyone ever play Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis? That is such a good point and click adventure game. I've played it on stream before, just trying to like make it further than I did, when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. It just becomes so, it's just baffling. Like don't know where you're supposed to go or what you're supposed to interact with. But
the best part about those games is they seem like single player games, but they are a multiplayer experience. The more people you have watching it, right? Because controlling the game isn't necessarily fun. It's more of a nuisance. But like me and my wife love point and click adventures because we can sit down. It doesn't matter who has the controller. It's just who can think weirdly outside of the box. Like maybe if we go here and color the fruit with this paint, and now it looks like a cherry tree, so George Washington will chop down the tree, and that'll open and stuff like that. And so it's like the more people you have watching you play a point and click adventure, especially if they haven't played before, like doing that on stream, there's one person by the name David Poncho Taco that's just Googling the answers and telling you exactly what to do to look smart, like they do in Wordle on stream. But I'm just saying, I actually did that on your stream. You had that like word game, and I'm just like, all right, let me rock these kids with my cheating.
I when I saw you number 1 on there, I was like, there's no way.
I don't even know how to spell.
You had like the top 3 answers on there.
But yeah, I love those. Are those are amazing date night games. If you've not or just even with friends. When
any Monkey Island fans?
Oh,
you guys played those games?
Yeah. I've never played, but I want to. I've seen some of them, and I'm like, that looks fun.
They're so good. They're so good.
I played the first one on stream. That was really good. There's like 3 of them, right?
Too. There's a ton. I think there's.
Is there a ton?
I know one just came out, right? A brand new one.
Yeah, it's on Game Pass or Switch and stuff. The wife
Steam
literally beat it in a day because I say it's a fun date night thing. She can't stop. She loves them. So as soon as I get distracted and do my own thing, I come back and the credits are rolling. She's like, I'm sorry, I couldn't help it.
What about Full Throttle? You guys all played Full Throttle, right?
I know of it. I've never played it.
No.
You guys never played it? Okay. That was the one that I could never get far in it. I think there was an HD version, like not remaster or anything, just HD that came out on Steam, but that was a click adventure that I remember.
It's just like metal.
I never got very far. What's that?
It's just like metal. You're like a rock dude.
Yeah, you're but it's like takes place like, I don't know, like in the desert. You have your motorcycle, and you're driving around here, and you got like other people on motorcycles. It's kind of like what's that movie? I'm totally blanking. Mad Max-ish kind of. You're on your bike and you're like kicking other bikers and stuff like that in races and whatever, and then going to like the bars or whatever, talking to people and stuff like that. I remember that game being really cool. I never beat it. I was too young playing it, and that I didn't know what to even do or anything. But I remember playing that, like, spending quite a bit of time on like whatever the first couple hours on repeat or something, and having a good time with that.
I think there was just something special about those early games, like that are not fully like fleshed out games, so you can go, do a bunch of different things and just figure out what works, and sometimes it feels like you're breaking the game or like doing things you're not supposed to because the developers didn't expect it. And I remember there were a bunch of like old PC games, like, when it was like Windows 95 and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And I just remember, I wish I could remember the names of these games because I would absolutely play them on stream. There was this adventure game, and you just start out, you're like in this house, and it's actually a fully 3D game, but you're like in this house, you're like on a farm, and the plot is super loose. It like tells you something about, like an evil wizard or something that's taken over the land, and you go outside and you find this bone, and then all of a sudden you realize like you can use it as a melee weapon, and you're just wandering around this weird landscape. And like games like that, or like there was this game Draken for Super Nintendo. Anyone know that game?
No.
Draken?
No.
Man, that's a weird one. It's also like a isometric, like 3D perspective, and you're the camera. So you're just like, I guess it's supposed to be a first person perspective, but then what really happens is like when you run into an enemy or something, all like you have these 4 characters that like kind of waltz out and they just like auto attack like the creatures or whatever, and you can just like bounce off trees, which was the funniest thing. Like they put this thing in the game where you'd be like moving the camera around and then you'd just be like bouncing into these trees, and yeah, you like go in castles and you have to like solve these puzzles, and it was really bizarre, but I have some fond memories of that game.
I miss when games weren't so linear and it wasn't just, here is the next thing you must do in the game. Here it is.
That was an open world game. Draken.
Yeah.
Drakken.
Oh, okay. That just you spelling it out, like I'm sparking a little memory with it. I kind of remember.
Draken. It was all about dragons.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Never had it,
but
I've
it's
seen
also
the cart.
super derpy. Like it doesn't tell you how to do anything.
I kind of like that though.
Yeah.
Little jank.
The time before the radio man in your ear telling you exactly what you needed to do.
Yeah.
It's like, I've noticed you got to this point. I can see. How are you seeing me? Like, how are you let me skip the
tutorial. The internet was new. You'd go on the internet looking for answers, and it would just be like one guy like trolling you. I remember playing Ocarina of Time, right? And I was like, I could swear that they had to have put the Triforce in the game. I just knew. I was like, the Triforce is somewhere. It's going to be some secret, you know? And
it's in Zora's domain under the frozen ice.
Is it?
Easy to get.
I was so gullible. I would go online just scouring these, like, it would be like game rumors. I would always Google, like, Ocarina of Time rumors. And then, like, there would be these old forums, and somebody would be saying, like, yeah, I know how to get the Triforce. Like, all you have to do, you get on Epona. You have to ride around Lon Lon Ranch exactly 21 times.
Oh, my God.
Then you play the Sun Song, and then you take Epona all the way back to Kokairi Forest, and then, like, do this other thing. And I kid you not, I would scour the internet looking at all these rumors, and I would do every single one, and it never worked. And I was always like, it didn't work. There's nothing's happening. I went around 20 times, you know?
Okay, so back in the day, because Ocarina of Time, I know, Pops, I think it's your favorite game of all time. It's my childhood favorite game of all time. Okay, so the internet was very new. I think it came out in 98, so I was 10. And I remember I wanted to find all the Skulltulas, and I was looking it up, and I've never told this before. I saw this forum, and it had these like pictures that looked so real. And it said, if you 100% the game and you get all the Skulltulas and you beat it, this brand new temple opens up called the Sky Temple. When I tell you, I spent weeks making sure I did everything in the game. I was like, why am I not getting the Sky Temple? It was absolutely fabricated. The internet was cruel.
There were so many video game rumors at that time, just people trolling, I guess.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
Do you not miss that, though? Like,
I
almost missed those days a little bit.
It can't be done anymore.
It can't. Because they can go into the file and see if it's there. But, like, the worst one in my entire life was Mortal Kombat 2. The first movie just came out and was huge, and the character named Art was in it. And there was a rumor you had to go through the game like 30 matches in a row, which doesn't sound like a lot. It is a ton to play 30 matches of Mortal Kombat. And we did everything. And then you have to do like 3 specific fatalities. And we missed one on the 30th match, so we had to start over. And we spent the entire sleepover. My buddy named Stuart came over. The entire sleepover, which is a big deal, trying to do it. And it was just a lie. I remember it, though, so there's that. Memories.
That's so funny. It's so funny for people to just get on the internet like that and come up with this crazy rumor just to troll people that they know people are out there trying to do it. Mostly kids, you know, that don't know any better.
That's why I
remember looking for the Triforce out in like the Gerudo like wastelands and stuff. Like they were like, if you look at this distant tower, you know, you have to get the perfect angle and you can make it out to this distant tower and the Triforce is there. And just none of them ever worked, you know? The Triforce isn't there. It's just not there.
That's why I love Mortal Kombat. They will like follow fan rumors, and then the next game they'll make those rumors come true.
Yeah.
So like every character, because like
that is really cool. Yeah.
Like Kano or like Ermac in Mortal Kombat 2, they said something like Ermac's found, which is like some technical computer code in the credits, but everyone was positive Ermac was a secret character that you could find, and they're like, okay, if you're gonna be crazy about it, let me make Ermac in the next game. And I love how stupid and fun Mortal Kombat is. It's just my favorite series. I bring it up every podcast. I'm sorry. I'll talk about something else.
I think that was a time in gaming when developers actually thought about things like that, though. Like they would throw in a bunch of Easter eggs and secrets and things. Like you could get down in the pit and fight Reptile, you know, in Mortal Kombat 1. And there were cheat codes, you know, like that was back when cheat codes was huge. Yep. So it was like, you know, the developers were putting all these secrets in games. So, of course, and following all these rumors that say you can do this thing and, you know, just hoping.
Can we all agree on something that they need to bring back for every single video game ever? It doesn't matter if it's serious or what type, RPG, action, adventure. Every single game needs to have a big head mode because it never is not a good time. Beat the game, unlock big head mode. That should be a guaranteed. Name one game where big head mode wouldn't add to the experience. Mario RPG, hilarious. Mallow's big head would look adorable. Tears of the Kingdom. I want Link's head to be bigger than the world itself. Hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember every time we played GoldenEye, big DK mode was turned on. DK mode. And you could see people as they were like trying to sneak. You could see like their heads clipping through the walls, and you could shoot the head too when it would clip through the wall, and it counted as a kill. It was awesome.
I remember playing GoldenEye with my friends, and we would always try to unlock everything, like all the what is it, like invincibility and invisibility and all the cheat codes. And of course, some were really easy. You would just kind of pick them up as you go, like Big Head and like Paintball mode were easy from what I remember. But I still remember to this day, Invincibility was the one that we really wanted to get. You know, it was like it was like the ultimate cheat code, Invincibility. And so you had to play, it was Facility, which is like what, the second level or third level or something. Facility, where you start in the the air duct and you come out in the bathroom and all this. Well, you had to beat Facility. I believe it was in 2 minutes and 1 second or something, or 2 minutes and 6 seconds or something like this on Secret Agent, which is like the second highest difficulty. And so on Secret Agent, there would be, all the guards had AKs and, you know, they would be all bunched up and stuff, and you would never know, like, you would just get sprayed with all kinds of random shots. You'd be trying to run through the game. And the thing is there was this guy with a key card, and he would appear in like 4 different random locations, and if he wasn't in this one location, you just had to start over. And it was like... It was like maybe it was like 2% of runs actually made it that far, and then he would never be there, and you're like, oh my god, you know. So like, I remember getting so close. We were like 4 or 5 seconds away on like our best run. We had this whole strategy down where you make it into the final room, and there's those like big canisters that you have to blow up, and we'd throw like one mine on like every other canister. And we would blow it up right before we leave. And our best run, we were like 4 seconds away. So me and my buddy, what we ended up doing, we had this other friend that we went to school with. We'll call him George. And George was really good at games. Like, he was good at all games. He was elite at GoldenEye. Like, he was so good. I remember he did a presentation in school one time and just made it an excuse to play video games. Like, he brought in GoldenEye and he set up like the multiplayer thing, and he just crushed everyone on multiplayer, you know? But it was really cool. Anyway, we gave George our copy of GoldenEye, and within like 2 days, he unlocked all of the cheat codes for us. Because we couldn't do it.
Jeez.
We just couldn't do it.
Good old George.
That was my favorite type of cheat code, because there's 2 ways. You could unlock it permanently, which is do it like how you said and beat the time, or you could literally, every time you boot up the game, there was a button call. You could hit like left C, right C, up C, down C, and it would work. It would unlock it, but only for that play session. And I thought that was a really cool way to do it. Like, if you really want the code, here it is. But if you want to earn the code, here's how you can do it, and it stays permanently unlocked. And I think that is a really cool way to keep like so much replay value. So like, all right, I like this game, I just want the code, let me put it in. Or I love this game, I need this code unlocked. But I could never do facility. Dr. Doak would never be there. And you always check up the steps in that first room to the right where he should be there. And you get up there and there's some generic scientist number 1, and you just look each other in the eyes. And your soul is empty, just like the character inside. Has no soul. Yeah, it hurts.
Do developers even put cheat codes in games anymore? They used to do it all the time. You'd be like, all right, what are the codes for this game? There would be codes for like every game. If there's
a developer to do that still, it might be Rockstar. I feel like they're still the type that puts in Easter eggs into all their games still. I feel like they might be the developer. I don't know if they did do that with any of their recent entries, though.
I feel like I remember
they're the one to do that.
Yeah, I feel like I remember there being codes for like every game. It seemed like you would just look up the codes for the game. You know, that was fun. Mm-hmm. They need to bring that back.
I think
big head mode, especially
big head mode for everything. Like Midway, like arcade games used to have a ton of codes in them that were all fun. You know, even NBA Jam, you could unlock Bill Clinton to play basketball. And Sega, even the original Sonic, you could do. All right, if you want to get into developer mode, just put in this code in the sound test, and you could fly through the game and have fun. It's just, I think a lot of us played Nintendo. Nintendo has never had like a code for any of their games, basically. Just none. You could put in Zelda and play the second quest, but that's more of like a feature than a code. Right. Like Konami always had codes. I'm trying to think. Capcom never really had codes either, other than like Mega Man passwords that you could skip. Like Konami doesn't make games anymore.
Right.
Sega makes games that are special, and I like them, but they're not really prolific anymore. So I think a lot of the like arcade code games are kind of something of the past, which I miss. Just I want big heads in my games, and Nintendo has been consistent. Never. Like, I'm trying to think of a single Nintendo game with a code.
You're honestly right. I can't think of a Nintendo published game that, mainline Nintendo game that would have had that. I can't think of.
Donkey Kong's the only one I can think of where you put in barrel and you have extra lives. Like on the selection, if you hit BARRAL, you have to fudge the spelling. On Donkey Kong 1, you would start with 99 lives or 60 lives or something. But that's like the only game I can think of that did that. And it's rare. Nintendo didn't even make it.
Sure.
Yeah, I was a Sega kid. All the Sega games, they all had codes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sega was like I started out as a Sega fanboy, and Nintendo was terrible, and then now I'm a Nintendo fanboy. So my fanboy is easily bought.
I'm trying to think. Mike, you said that Konami, you don't think ever had any? There was nothing in like the Metal Gear Solid games or any cheat codes.
Konami always had codes. The Konami.
They always did. Okay,
yeah.
I was about
Konami
to say
was notorious for codes.
Okay, gotcha. I was about to say I have a hard time believing that Konami didn't have. I heard you wrong. Okay,
you were very kind about it though. If you heard me just say a bold-faced lie, you were very polite about it. I appreciate that. I would have been like, "You're lying, Poncho Taco."
I'm so shocked that it took 40 minutes for you to bring up Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Metal Gear Solid. Yeah, we'll talk about Metal Gear Solid later. I have some stuff I want to talk about. You know what? I think now's a good time. Let's talk about Aldwulf here.
Yeah,
Aldwulf is our ninth-ish. I'm just gonna say ninth-ish guest. I didn't look this up. I just need to look this up ahead of time. Ninth-ish guest here. Again, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
And we let's hear a little bit about you. Obviously, you've been a gamer your whole life, as we've been kind of talking about here, just reminiscing on old games and stuff. Now, let's hear about you. You're on Twitch. You're on other platforms too. I mean, yeah. Let's hear about it.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I've been a gamer my whole life. I think. I don't know if my parents always wanted me to be a gamer. You know, they wanted me to get outside and stuff. But you know, I guess what was cool is when I was a kid, I was kind of allowed to do both, and I would do both. You know, I'd get outside and romp around and climb trees and stuff. You know, run around riding bikes with my friends and different things like that. But I always had a love for just sitting quietly in a room playing video games. You know, it was in a way, it felt like you were, I don't know, it was an interactive medium. It felt like yeah, you're sitting there, but you're also kind of like working your brain a little bit, and you're engaging with what, you know, the media is that you're watching or whatever. So I thought that was really cool from the start, and I guess, you know, that was really our generation, or we kind of grew up on video games and stuff, and there was really not much before that outside of like arcade gaming and things like that. So it was really cool. You know, I got to see it from the beginning. Like I said, I think my first console was the original Atari. It had wood on the sides and stuff. And, you know, there were a couple really cool games that I enjoyed there, but, you know, the games didn't have staying power. I had like 50, 60 cartridges, and I would just keep switching between games, and, you know, you never really settled on one that really held your attention. But the first real console that I got, you know, I had the Atari 7800, and that had a couple, you know, good games on it and stuff. I think, what was that? There was this, is it Xevious? It's like where you're like this ship, and you're flying, and you're like bombing towers and stuff, and you're shooting. I don't remember if it starts with an X. I can't think of it. Was it Xevious? Yeah, it was Xevious. That was a good game on 7800. Okay. Xevious, and then there's Tower Toppler, and then Pitfall 2. Those are the only good games that I remember. I remember trying to get, I remember I would always, like, my father would always go out, and we'd try to get this game called Rampage. Everyone knows the game, Rampage. Yes. And we tried multiple times. This was an era when you would go and you would buy a game brand new, and it wouldn't work. Like, it just wouldn't work. You'd put it in your Atari, and the game was, like, from the developer, it was just no good. Like, we tried 3 times to get a Rampage cart to work, and it just never worked. And it was such a bummer, you know, because I think, you know, my dad remembered playing Rampage in arcade and stuff, and knowing how much fun it was. But, you know, my first real console was the Sega. So I was like a Sega kid, and every time I would go to my cousins' houses or whatever, they'd have Nintendo, so I'd get to have that experience there. But I'd come home and I'd play Sega. You know, I had Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Mortal Kombat. I never fired up Mortal Kombat without putting in the blood code, you know? You had to put the blood cheat in, and that was something that Super Nintendo, for whatever reason, never had. They never had blood mode. Their fatalities were so, like, dumbed down, you know? Like, I don't remember what it was, but, like, Johnny Cage, I think, like, you would, like, rip the dude's, like, skull off, you know? And it'd be, like, his spine just hanging there.
Yep.
I don't know what Nintendo did, but they didn't do that. But,
they slapped him in the face. They went...
Nintendo's been known to do stuff like that too.
Oh, yeah.
Censor their games to an extent. I can't think of other things off my head, but yeah,
Mortal Kombat,
they've been known to do that.
Taught Nintendo a valuable lesson, because Mortal Kombat 1 crushed it on the Genesis and sold nothing on Super Nintendo.
Yeah, they just need to know, man. Violence sells, you know.
When 2 came out, they learned a valuable lesson, and they had all of the gore. And, like, it's nuts because the Genesis had 3 buttons. Try playing a fighting game with 3 buttons. You can't. And we all knew the controls were terrible, but we needed that red splash, and we needed those fates. It's not about the fighting in Mortal Kombat. Come on.
So Sega was my first real console that I absolutely adored. You know, I was so surprised because, I got it for Christmas and it was just released, and I was just shocked. It was such a big gift, I would say, from my parents at the time. We were never like real well off or anything. I didn't ever had an NES, never had SNES. I got an SNES later on, but when I got this Sega brand new for Christmas, I was just like overjoyed, and I think Sonic 2 like came with it. And even my dad was just so impressed because the background, the backgrounds were animated, which was just really unique for the time. Like the foreground was animated, the background was animated. It looked like a truly 3D environment, but like in a 2D perspective. Like Sonic 2 was really cool. And so I played that and I was able to finally beat it. I think I did have to put in the sound test code or whatever it was to get to the developer screen and kind of practice the last level, which was like Dr. Robotnik's like Death Egg or whatever.
Sure.
Because you just get done beating Silver Sonic, and then all of a sudden you have to beat Dr. Robotnik, and you don't even know how to hurt him. Like I didn't even know how to hurt him. It's when he's like doing this thing where he's like and he's like moving his claws like alternating like that, and you can only hit him when his claws are like this. When they're like together, you like bounce and hit him. I didn't even know how to hurt him, but I was finally able to beat that game, conquered that game, and I guess that's where my love for gaming really started. It was probably with the Sega Genesis. There was a grocery store that was nearby, and I would always save up a couple bucks or whatever from doing chores or whatever it is, and I would be constantly renting games. This was a period in time when you could rent, renting was really popular for movies and games. This grocery store had a little rental place, in the grocery store. So I'd ride my bike, maybe it was like only a mile or two, but I'd ride my bike and I'd go rent a game. And they had a huge wall of like Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo games, and I ended up renting every game multiple times because I rented games so often that, I'm not ashamed to admit it. I rented, there was this Barbie game, and it was like you're driving around in Barbie's car and you're just kind of chilling with your friends, and like you get to try on a bunch of different outfits and stuff. And, at the time I probably wouldn't have admitted it, but I rented that Barbie game more than once. I rented it more than once.
Was it Barbie Supermodel or was it Barbie Vacation Adventure?
Oh damn! Well, I don't even. Let me see. Barbie.
I'm only saying this because I literally just played both of these games earlier this week for the first time in my life.
Let me see. I'm gonna say it was Barbie Supermodel.
He just played it.
Wait, let me see. Vacation Adventure.
That is the funniest thing. I just played both these
Barbie
games
Supermodel.
for the first time.
Yeah. You're driving around in her pink car. Kind of fun.
Yes.
Kind of fun. But so I don't know. I guess from there, my real true favorite console of all time is the PlayStation 1. When I finally got a PlayStation 1, I was just absolutely hooked. I played all the Final Fantasy games, and I would just rush home every day after like middle school and stuff, and neglect my homework to play games with my friends, and we would voice all the characters and stuff. And so it wasn't just me, like sitting there alone in a room playing games, but me and my friends, we would do that together. And I don't know. I was always a PlayStation fanboy, and I skipped the PS4, but I had a PS1, PS2, PS3, and now I have a PS5, which is really cool. I don't actually get a lot of time to play it, or I don't give myself a lot of time to play it because I do stream so often. And so I play a ton of Mario Maker, and then I play variety games on stream. And then by the time I'm not streaming, then I'm kind of like, do I want to play my PS5 or do I not want to play it?
Right.
So But I guess
at least with PS5, you have the whole PS4 library with it.
Right.
So
you that's
don't
true.
Necessarily miss anything. You can go back and get those games relatively cheap now, too.
I really wish they had built in the ability for it to play all of the PlayStation games. I thought for sure they were just going to continue that because the first PS3s, they were able to play PS1 and PS2 games. So I thought they would just continue that forever, and that would have been so nice, but it is what it is. I have an old classic PS1, so I can play all my old classic games, and so my journey into streaming was interesting. I've had a few different YouTube channels in the past where I would upload gaming content and highlight it and so on and like post it to YouTube, and nothing ever really took off. And my brother had always suggested streaming, and I thought like, I don't know, it's not, I can't curate it, right? Like I can't make it exactly what I want it to be. It's you're exposed, you're just out there just being yourself, and it's kind of scary, You're always on screen, you have to be there live, and so I didn't know what to think of it. And I had actually never really even been on Twitch at that time. I just was not necessarily interested in it, I guess. I would watch content on YouTube and I would make content for YouTube. And but then, I don't know, one day it was like, I started getting recommended these Mario Maker videos. And I was like, what is this? It was early 2018 and I had never even heard of Mario Maker. I was like lost in my own world playing these like PC games. I was playing this MOBA called Smite all the time. I was playing this game. That game's super fun. It's like it's like these pantheons of all these ancient Greek and Roman gods and so on, gods and goddesses, and you just like battle in like a multiplayer online battle arena. But that game was fun. I was like super absorbed in that at the time. I don't know. My last Nintendo console at that point was the GameCube. And so, I'd played through Wind Waker and ended up getting stuck, like not knowing how to damage one of these bosses. And I've always been the type to like, I don't want to look it up. I don't want to know. If I can't figure it out, then I won't beat it, and that's what it is. And so I got to this point in Wind Waker and I didn't know how to beat this boss. And so that was it. And that was my last experience with Nintendo. And for whatever reason, I was just living under a rock. I didn't know Mario Maker existed until 2018 when I started seeing like videos from Ryucar and like Grand Pooh Bear and like The Beast, on YouTube. And I was like, this is so cool. Like all the, like the fact that people are making these crazy levels and you can do all these like item tricks and you can do all this wild stuff that you could never really do in the original Mario games. And I was like, I have to know more about this. So I immediately jumped over on Twitch and started checking out like viewer level streamers and stuff and like watching their content. And, within a few days, I think I was, scouring Craigslist, trying to find somebody selling a Wii U, and getting Mario Maker and so on. And, I started playing, and then it was from there, I was making levels. I was trying to make, like, I had it in my mind, like, I can make a level that's so hard, only I'll be able to beat it. Like, this was in my mind. I didn't know how huge the community was, for one thing, right? But I was like, I'm going to make these hard levels, like, just these gross, hard levels. So I did that, and I was the jerk that's going to viewer level streamers, submitting these disgusting, horrible levels that you're not going to be able to beat, like during the stream, And I didn't know it would be like torture for these streamers. But I found out, pretty quickly that they weren't, like a huge fan of that. But what's funny is, I don't want to name drop a bunch, but Jakku, who's like really big in the community and so on. He was doing viewer levels at the time, and I submitted what I considered to be my hardest level at the time, which was called Aldwulf's Fortress. And it's just this nasty, like, really precise platforming level. What's funny is there's sort of a dev exit in it. Like, there were two ways to beat it. I wanted it to be like, I didn't really understand the concept of dev exits at the time.
Right.
So I thought it would be like sort of an adventure level. You gotta like go all the way down this linear path to figure out like what you have to do there, or like there's this other option to go here and like find a different way to beat the level. So I built in like multiple ways to beat this level, one of which of course ends up being slightly easier or slightly preferred, and of course it would be called like the dev exit at the time, but it was still really hard. And I submitted it to Jakku, and I did not expect it, but he got so far in the level and then was just baffled because it was like almost a puzzle, like what you were supposed to do and stuff. And then I felt bad. But anyway, yeah, so that's how my first experience on Twitch went, was like me submitting these terrible levels and thinking like, oh, I can come up with something that no one will be ever be able to beat, you know, not realizing how absolutely cracked the entire community is, you know. And so, but then basically I was like, you know what? This is really cool. Like, viewer levels is super cool. It's one of the most interactive ways that you can play video games and be on Twitch. You know, like, there are really no other games where people are interacting to that capacity. You're building a level, you're submitting it, the person's playing it, you're engaging with them in real time. And I was like, this is really cool. So I just kind of decided to see what it was like to be on the other side of that transaction, I guess. You know, to put myself out there and to, you know, start streaming and have people submit to me their horrible, disgusting levels that I won't be able to beat in one stream. And it just kind of went from there. And I did viewer levels for like 2 years or so. I mean, that was all I did, like, exclusively. And so I missed out on like 100-man and stuff like that. I think I only ever played 100-man like once or twice ever, you know, so I didn't unlock all the like gold coins and stuff that you can get from the original Mario Maker. And side note, the original Mario Maker is such an interesting game, because it was almost like there were so many ways that you could break it. Like, the game has so many weird glitches and things you can do. Like, you could set up an auto level that just becomes so glitchy and weird and chaotic. I remember building like an auto level that was just absolutely wild. Like, Mario would get trapped between like two pals and he would just start like glitching out, you know, and but it was auto, so it all ended up working out. But yeah, so that's how I ended up, you know, on Twitch as a streamer, and never really looked back. I mean, I've loved it so much that I've really kind of pushed to make it what I do for a living, and I'm still trying to push to do that. So yeah, there was something that I was going to say there. But yeah, after about 2 years of doing viewer levels, I kind of just switched gears a little bit and decided, you know, at this point, you know, Mario Maker 2 had already come out and so on. And, you know, when Mario Maker 2 first came out, I was like, can we just go back to Mario Maker 1? Like, the physics felt weird. And like, yeah, there was a bunch of new stuff, but I remember like they had taken out like, you could do spring drops in Mario Maker 1 so easily. They were so easy. Like, they were free. You could just do them. And in Mario Maker 2, it's like a 3-frame window. Like, all of the Kaizo tricks and so on have become these really precise things. Shell jumps were always like a 3-frame trick as far as I know, but the timings were different. The physics was different. I tried remaking some of my old Mario Maker 1 levels in Mario Maker 2. It just doesn't really work. You have to modify a bunch of stuff. The interactions aren't the same. In fact, the one thing that I noticed, which just kind of ruined all my levels, was that the fall speed is different. Like, if you drop an item, it'll hit the ground, I think, later in Mario Maker 2 than it would in Mario Maker 1. So it like changes everything. But yeah, that's kind of my journey to streaming. Was I was inspired by these Kaizo players that I, you know, watched their videos on YouTube, and I was like, man, this is wild. And ever since then, I've just been hooked on Mario Maker. I mean, I think I have, you know, between Mario Maker 1 and 2, just from 2018, I have well over 10,000 hours in the games.
Wow.
And I came so late to Mario Maker. Like, I started playing Mario Maker like August of 2018. So just to give you some idea. Yeah, I stream Mario Maker, just Mario Maker, usually 30 hours a week that I'm playing Mario Maker.
Yeah.
And that's if I don't play off stream, which I usually don't. you play so much on stream that you kind of don't really, you take a break on your days off and so on.
Right.
But every so often, I'll fire it up and play something if I'm watching a streamer or something, and trying to help them figure something out in a level or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I see a lot of people do that with like 0% levels and stuff like that. Like they'll hop on too, and depending on the streamer's cool with it, be like, yeah, can anybody else help figure this out and stuff like that. And yeah, I see some interactivity with chat kind of behind the scenes, if you will, with that type, which is pretty cool to see.
Yeah, definitely.
I do love viewer levels. I do that, like your journey, like for the first 2 years, nothing but viewer levels. And the interactivity, what you talked about, I love it because now, because I love talking with people that are in my stream, and that's the easiest way to connect is like, here's their level. And what's really where you have a fun community is where you get to know someone enough after enough time where you can be like, this is the worst thing I've ever played. And they're not taking offense by it because you become friends at this point. And like that, like that's when I know we're on the same page where they can make fun of my gameplay. They're like, that was the worst thing I've ever seen a streamer ever do. And I can laugh about it. I'd be like, why would you include bomb excavation here? There's no need, and I love that. But for me too, beyond that, it's like I am the laziest streamer in the world. Like I could either prepare for content or just like you bring me the content. I don't feel like figuring out what to do. And Mario Maker is so perfect for that, and I love it. And man, I was cracking up when you said you got that Sega for Christmas because I bet that same year at that same exact point in time in Pittsburgh, PA, I was opening up my Sega with Sonic 2 and Sonic 1, and I will remember that awesome. Christmas forever. That was a huge day.
Yeah.
The Cheese Pop's house.
Yeah, I had when I got my Sega. When I got my Sega, mine came with Aladdin.
Oh, nice! That's such a good game.
Wow.
Right? That's the game mine came with, and I was 5 when I got my Sega Genesis, but I remember the room I was in, the TV next to me on the floor. Like, I remember that moment opening that Sega Genesis. Like, I had an NES as a kid. That was my first system technically, but I would call myself a Sega kid for sure. But because that was just so special. Like, I was like, I got a Sega? Like, what? And
so we all had that experience.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you all, well, how old were you when you got your Sega Genesis?
Man. I mean, what year did that come out, Sega? Because then I would...
Was it 92
I'll be telling
or 93?
on myself. Not even sure.
Who's looking?
I want to say I was 7. So
prolific. It's how they released it, which like they ruined Nintendo that Christmas. It was such a smart play because Sonic 1 was such a hit, and so all the kids were talking about Sonic 1, and even on the news, like newscasters would be like, "Hey, this Nintendo is not the only player now," talking about how Sega's becoming popular because of this new game Sonic. And so what Sega did is they made Sonic 2 really quickly, which is surprising. They made it so quick and such a good game. And then they also released it with the system and Sonic 1. So you get the system, Sonic 1 and Sonic 2, and the price was less than $200, I think. So you get this incredible value. So parents hear about this new system on the news. Kids love Sonic, and it's cheaper than anything Nintendo's offering at the time. No one bought anything Nintendo that Christmas.
Yeah.
And everyone bought Sega. And then they kept the pedal down with sports. It's cool. Sega does what Nintendo. And that was the Sonic 2 Christmas was one of the like smartest things Sega has ever, maybe the only smart thing Sega has ever done in hindsight. But it was such a huge, everything they did after that, they're like, let's 32X and CD up this bad boy. Everyone wants it was just poor decision after poor decision. But that Christmas, they killed it.
I was always shocked that Sega did not remain relevant, that they could not find a way to remain relevant. I thought they were a huge player in the game, at the time.
I've watched so many YouTube videos of the mistakes they made. Like the Saturn is a 2D powerhouse at a time where everyone wanted 3D.
Yeah.
And so the Sega, we have 2 Sega Saturns in this house because my wife was a Sega kid too. So I saved up all of my money and bought a Sega Saturn. I have like 3 games for it because no games came out for it in America. Sold well in Japan. I had the Dreamcast. You know, like, I was such a Sega boy and I loved it. The Dreamcast strategy is everyone wants arcade games. And it turns out everyone wants long, high-value games. So that's why, like, the Dreamcast had so many amazing fighting game ports and things. They were thinking, like, oh, people want to play a video game for, like, 20 minutes and put it down. No one's going to want to sit down and play it for long term. And that was not the case. And they got tried. Like, Sony was like, we don't want a single 2D game on our PlayStation because everyone wants 3D. And that's how Sony became big. And it was just every decision Sega made was just poor. But they crushed that Christmas with Sonic 2, I'll tell you what. Me and Aldwulf were like, let's go! That morning, we got, I don't know, did you get the t-shirts with it? I don't know where my parents got it. I think that was like a store-specific one because it definitely didn't come with it. But we got t-shirts. I'll never forget that Christmas.
That's yeah. I don't know what Sega did wrong. Like you said, it was just bad business choices that they just did. Like you said, everybody was 3D, right? Everybody wanted 3D. No, let's put out a 2D console.
They came in red hot and then they just burnt out, you know?
So true.
They came in in too hot is what it was.
It's just PlayStation has been smart. Like, Nintendo spurned PlayStation or Sony. Sega spurned Sony right after. And they're like, fine, well, if no one wants to work with us, we'll make our own system. And, like, Sony was the only one to be like, okay, let's do this smart. Everyone was 3D. We can't release a 2D game right now, even if they're good, because no one wants that. And it's going to show our system as being inferior. And so, literally, Sony just played it, you know, by the books. And Nintendo has always dragged their feet, and it's worked well for them for the most part. Like, Nintendo is always like, we'll take old, already existing technology and make it the best we can do it because it'll be cheap and affordable. And Sony has always, like, pushed the envelope and always been cool. And that makes me mad. That's why I don't buy Sony, because I'm jealous.
I mean, yeah, that's true though about Nintendo. Like, they don't push any limits when they release something, right? They take what people have been doing for a while, and they put their own. And we all know that Nintendo has their spin on things that they do. Now we're doing handheld, which now we're starting to see more competition in that space. But ultimately, Nintendo relies on their core, 4 or 5 IPs that they have, right? Like, nobody's going to Sony right now and be like, oh man, I can't wait for the new Crash Bandicoot to come out. That's why I'm buying this right now. I mean, like, Nintendo somehow held on to these iconic IPs that people are still, they're system sellers. Like, people are coming to Nintendo because they want Mario. They want Zelda. They want, maybe someday we'll see Metroid again. I don't know. I'm still not convinced about that one. But I mean, they're still coming out, and like, I mean, sure. I mean, Sony is getting some big IP. I mean, they have massive IPs now. I mean, anything by Naughty Dog, people are like dying to get stuff like this. But I mean, like, nobody has retained these iconic IPs from, the early days and are still putting them out, and people are buying the consoles for these people.
Sure.
It's really interesting to see that happen. That
you're missing out, Cheese Pops. You're missing out. I'm telling you.
I know.
PlayStation's so good.
The Spider-Man
so
games
good. I have stock
amazing.
in PlayStation. Listen, PlayStation, they have staying power.
So I love retro, and I'm very close to considering maybe getting a PlayStation 1, or probably, as you said, just get a PlayStation 2 because it's backwards compatible.
Were you ever much of an RPG fan?
I love my RPGs, but I have to be in the mood. I don't know if you've ever played Skies of Arcadia. I'll set that as my favorite RPG. Yeah. I like a basic, not too complicated, RPG kind of deal.
Like a Paper Mario or something, maybe.
Oh,
yeah,
so good.
Yeah. Keep it as simple as possible. Attack, defense.
I was hooked on all of the old SquareSoft JRPGs. When I first started when my first experience with a JRPG, Japanese role-playing game, was when I had this demo disc that came with my PS1, and it had like Ridge Racer and all these other things on it. It had like Bushido Blade, which was really fun, and it had oh wait, was that not? It was a different demo disc. I had a Final Fantasy VII exclusive demo disc, and I thought this was the weirdest thing ever. I'm like, why is everybody just standing there? It's like, you just stand still. Like, why aren't they fighting, you know? And I was like, I didn't get it. I'm like, this is unrealistic. Like, you input commands, and then of course, then they do the action or whatever. And I didn't understand it. But then when it finally clicked, I was like, this is really fun. It's like strategic, you know? And man, that game was such an epic saga. It's like, it took 3 discs, you know, to tell the whole story, which at the time was such a massive game.
Yeah.
And it was, a lot of it was open world. You could just kind of wander around and, you know, do your own thing. And I was just hooked. Ever since then, I've always had a love for JRPGs, and especially old Squaresoft games, you know, which now they're Square Enix, but, you know, two Goliath, you know, JRPG developers coming together. But yeah, I don't have the new Final Fantasy yet. I still have yet to play the remake. I just need to find time. I said I was gonna like speed run it on stream. We'll see if that happens.
You should.
I think it would be really fun. The speed run's like 5 hours long.
Wow.
Yeah.
Every time that I see like the new Final Fantasy, I click on a stream every once in a while, and it's always like, every time I click on it, it's always like a 20-minute cutscene that's playing.
Yeah.
And I've heard a lot of people say that. People say it's like playing Metal Gear Solid 4 again or something. Like, it's just constant cutscenes that are quite long. And yeah, every time I click on a stream, and yeah, it seems I've never actually seen gameplay of it. It's always some cutscene that's going on.
That's funny. I believe it.
That's what that is.
They're really story driven and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Let's see. Cool. So we're kind of talking about RPGs, and we kind of gotten into started talking about kind of more simplistic things. Let's talk about we just had a cool Nintendo Direct that hit a week or two ago now.
Mm-hmm.
Some really cool things that were announced there. I mean, you had your typical, you know, games that, you know, people aren't that interested in, you know, that as typical a lot of Nintendo Directs end up being. But then we had a couple big hits. I mean, what do we have? We had
the Mario RPG
Super Mario
remake.
RPG.
Yeah.
Has everybody, Ashley, you've never played the original at all, right?
No, and I was actually originally really hoping for a port of the original on online, but when that first happened, and I know the music from just watching people play it, and you saw Peach's little remastered face, I actually audibly screamed and I live alone, so that was weird. My dogs were like, what is going on? But I was so excited. So my first experience playing RPG is gonna be the remaster, and I'm so excited to play it.
So do you
has
don't
everybody
feel
else
like
played it?
I have not played it.
Oh, okay.
I've not played it.
Have you, Pops?
Yeah, it was how Nintendo convinced me to like RPGs. So I played like Chrono Trigger, a bunch of RPGs since, but they needed to make it level based and also simplify it and also make attacks fun with the timing. And now I'm cool. I don't need the timing thing anymore. I like it. I prefer it. But as I said, like Skies of Arcadia became my favorite RPG, but that was Nintendo needed to do that for me to respect RPGs. And like I love it to this day. And with the announcement of the new one, I'm conflicted. I'm excited for a new generation of people to play it because it might get more people into RPGs. But also, I am a crotchety old man, and I like things the way I like things. And every time they remake a game, and I know it was like isometric 3D, give me back my pixel graphics. Like Sonic Mania, one of the greatest new games of my life. I loved it. I loved how it looked. It took me back to my childhood. But now they're making a new 2D Sonic game with 3D graphics. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, why? Why? I think it's stupid. And then literally everyone I talk to that's younger than me, they're like, no, it looks better, man. And I'm like, no, you're wrong. Go get me my Tang.
So Ashley, do you not feel like you need to play the original first?
So it's funny you say that because I with all my friends in the community, I feel like everybody who has already played the original is not excited for the remake, and everybody who has never played it is like, yes, the remake.
I see.
But I think that
maybe play the new one first.
It's not
and then
easy
at some point
to play the old one. It's not easy to play it on stream. So if it was, I would want to. But because it's going to be so accessible to have the remake, I will absolutely do the remake before I ever touch the original.
True. Gotcha, yeah.
Wait,
I think maybe I'll play the new one and then go back at some point to play the original.
Right.
It's not on the SNES Switch online?
No.
RPG? Really?
Nope.
I just assumed it was. Like,
it
I had a
absolutely
cartridge
should
back
be.
there. Yeah, it's probably Square Enix.
It's probably a licensing thing with Square Enix, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is.
The original release. I don't know how I'm curious how they worked all that out with the remake that's coming out.
The remake looks so good.
Most of it was developed by Square Enix, so I don't know how it all worked out. But yeah, no, I agree. It looks great. I love the new generation of like pudgy characters. We have Pudgy Mario that's coming out in this game. Even Sonic. I know, Mike, you don't like the 3D look. I appreciate them bringing back Pudgy Sonic though, because he's been pudgy in like previous games. Like I kind of like the pudgy characters come back. They're kind of short and pudgy. I think that's great. I love that style. We
were watching the direct live in your Discord, Poncho Taco, and that was like the first thing you said. You were like, "Yes, Pudgy Mario is back," and he's so cute.
He is. But no, it looks the remake looks great. I do like the original. I'm in the field of like I should say maybe that I like the original a lot. I'm excited for this one. This will be the way that I revisit it personally. I don't know if I would stream it or anything, but I am going to get it and play it on my own time at least. And I'm excited for it. I'm very excited for it.
Nice.
And yeah, and like Pops, like you were saying, this is really the only type of RPGs, like JRPG, if you will, type that I like. I'll play like RPGs occasionally that are like more actiony stuff like that, but when it's more strategic, when you have like your characters on one side, these are the type like the more interactive style where you jump and then you're pushing A to get extra combo hits and you can keep going as long as your timing is good, stuff like that. Like I like the interactivity as well as the simplicity of the leveling and stuff. I don't get too far into like the games that have trees that branch for like 10 miles in each direction. Like I don't have the time to figure that out.
What gives me
how to min-max myself or anything.
What gives me super anxiety in an RPG, and this is why I like the baby RPGs, is when you get to a new town and you go into the shop and they have new armor that raises your defense by 3, but it lowers your speed by 2. Yeah. I can't make that choice. I can't. I won't do it. I'll just turn off the game. And like Mario RPG and Skies of Arcadia, you go to a new shop, that's all perks. Everything's better on this new armor. You're like, yes, no decision making by me.
That's what I want.
That's all I want. And I know that's stupid and it's fun to make choices.
I get that feeling. Yeah, I get that.
The anxiety of like, which armor should I use? The dexterity is better, but my what's the word? The concentration is down. I don't know what either of those mean in the game, but I'm sweating. I'm just drenched in sweat trying to make this choice, and I can't do it.
Let's see. What else was on the Nintendo Direct? We also had there was some Pikmin stuff. I know people are big fans of Pikmin. There's 1 and 2. That was the later today announcement, which was pretty cool. And we know Pikmin 4 is coming out. I guess there's some Pokemon stuff. I don't know. Ashley, what'd you think of all the new Pokemon information? We got new lands.
Let's just get to Mario Wonder. Come on.
Okay.
Let's just go.
There's always new Pokemon stuff.
And I never understand any of it.
It's so over my head. Yeah, I probably could. Yes. I could probably name maybe like 10 Pokemon off the top of my head. If you listed a bunch, I'd be like, yeah, okay, I know all those as well. But that's how little I know about Pokemon.
We're going to get
Mr.
in big
Mime.
trouble with the
I know that
Pokemon
guy.
fans if I don't acknowledge it. So let me say that it's very exciting. I'm glad it looks beautiful. You know, it reminds me, of course, of like the original Game Boy games. All right, everyone's rolling their eyes, but I'm excited for Pokemon fans. Yay, you got another game. Good for you. I can't wait to watch you play it. For sure. Yay, Pokemon.
I've always felt like I
say it
should
looks
get
beautiful,
into Pokemon.
but
Those games are brutally hard too. Like you can't just go in and
fell
be
off
competitive.
after Gen 1.
You can't. You have to know
Yeah.
EVs, IVs. You have to know everything, and it comes down to like, it's fun to watch. Watching competitive Pokemon is an
Yes.
absolute blast.
Agreed.
And then it's fun. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get into it. It took me like 30 hours to make one competitive Pokemon, just one, because you have to breed the Pokemon that you want. And then also, if you want it to be any good, you have to make sure the EVs and IVs are up to the standard. And it's not like, oh, you could tweak it how you want it to be. No, there is a standard. This is the only way you're going to be competitive. And it takes 30 hours to do it. And that was such a bummer for me because I ended up making 3 competitive ones. And how the matches work is like you see 6 on each team. So if me and Aldwulf were playing, I'd see his 6 Pokemon, I had my 6, and we secretly pick 3. So I would try to pick 3 looking at his 6, and he would try to pick 3 predicting my 6. I only had 3 that were good, so I had other ones in there as a ruse to try to trick people. And it was still fun, but it took probably 100 hours just to get those 3 with the moves that I wanted to be even slightly competitive. And that for me that's a lot of time. That's a lot. I wish competitive was pick your Pokemon and the moves and everyone's equal to start from there, but that's just me. And what
game is this specifically?
That was Sword and Shield that I did on, but the EVs and IVs have been around forever. They used to be secret, but there was ways you can find them out by looking at the stats. Like as soon as you got the Pokemon, it tells you the stats and you would know, okay, it's this type and here's the stat range. This one's EVs are maxed here and here, but this one's not good, so I'm going to still have to wait and catch the perfect one that maximizes those, and then I'm going to have to train it to speak. Like, it's crazy for how childlike the game looked, and you could treat it that way and just have fun, but professional Pokemoners can go so deep and so into it. It is so intense, and that's why I love watching Pokemon streams, but I don't have the time to get into it unless people help me out and stuff like that. But it's an investment, but it is real cool. Like, competitive Pokemon is amazing.
The last Pokemon game I played was Emerald, so if that gives you any idea.
Okay, that's a long time ago. What was that? That was
GBA?
GBA right after Ruby and Sapphire or something like that.
I don't know any.
That was like
I don't know any
version.
any Pokemon past that generation, Gen 3 or whatever.
Yeah,
I know them all from Pokemon Go.
I played Gen 1. I was Gen 1, and then I pretty much fell off the series completely.
I got super into Pokemon Go, and so I learned like all the generations from just doing the mobile app of Pokemon Go. But yeah, the last like main Pokemon game I played was New Snap, which was great.
I did play Pokemon Snap on the 64.
Yeah.
That was pretty fun.
Yeah. We also had in the Nintendo Direct another the big announcement, I guess, was the return of Mario to 2D.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mainline Mario hitting 2D. That was
I just
awesome.
want to say,
I know there was rumors. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say, you guys can all thank me because a few months ago I said on stream like, how cool would it be if Nintendo released another 2D Mario game? I thought, like we have all these updated graphics and stuff now. They could make it really interesting. You could have a lot of like special effects, but just make it 2D because 2D is so fun. So you guys can thank me that I brought this into existence.
Wow.
Thank you, my friend.
Yeah, no worries.
We thank you.
No problem.
I don't know how to explain.
I mean, my uncle, John Nintendo, I think he watches my streams, so, I mean...
Your uncle is the John Nintendo?
Yeah. Well, there's more than one John Nintendo, actually. But yeah, one of the John Nintendos is, in fact, my uncle.
It's a great South Dakota name. Most of South Dakota is just full of Nintendos,
Yeah,
Mario Wonder. It looks
Mario
interesting.
Wonder.
Yeah.
It looks different.
Like what was the last mainline Mario side scrollers were the new Soup games, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I've expressed my opinions on the podcast. I do not like those at all. I think they're lifeless.
Never played them.
I don't know.
Me either. Never played.
I think they're bad. So I feel like there's just no life in them. They're just boring. The color palette is bad. I think there's some mechanics that are cool in it. But now we have Mario Wonder, and I'm excited for it. Like, it looks like I love the art style they're going for with it. He's not facing completely sideways. He's a little slightly turned a little bit. They got some weird stuff going on with flowers that are talking now. Some weird, like, I don't know. He looks like he's getting on drugs at some point.
Yeah.
What's that?
Koopa's on roller skates. Yeah, I mean, Mario's progressing from shrooms, I guess, and he's, maybe, I don't know, taking some acid or something. I don't know.
Yeah, he's doing something now.
He's taking it to another level.
What's going to be interesting, the last 2D Mario game was on the Wii U, and I know that, like, the last big one, and the Mario Maker community did not exist yet. So this is the first 2D Mario game to come out since this huge community on Twitch, and just seeing, are we all going to play that game, or is it going to become, like, I have no idea what to expect, because I did not watch any new Super Mario Brothers U on Twitch whatsoever.
Right.
I watched ROM hacks on Twitch. Like, that was a big one to get me into stuff. So how big it is, and like my thoughts are, it's going to be big at first and then disappear, and then we all go back to Mario Maker and ROM hacks. But I'm excited for that big at first bubble. Like, I can't wait to play the game and then go watch Aldwulf. Or the other thing that could happen is it's so good that out of nowhere, Aldwulf is the number 20th ranked player in the world at speedrunning it. Poncho Taco's 25th. I'm sitting there at 64, not moving because I love the number 64 because of Nintendo. Ashley's number 2. Like, are we all going to become wonder speedrunners out of nowhere? Or
maybe
is it going to be
it's
just
possible.
And so that's what I'm most excited for. It's not the game itself, because even though they're soulless, I bought every Mario game. I played it. I 100% at all of them because they're fun. I love Mario. But how does our community and Mario Maker embrace the game? This is something that's never happened before.
Good thought.
And so I'm going to enjoy the ride. I'm going to stream it. I'm going to enjoy watching, because you can't really get spoilers from a Mario game. Like, oh, that's secret. No. I would have never found jumping up there, Aldwulf. How did you do that? I'm not worried about spoilers like I am Tears of the Kingdom. And so seeing this community all collectively play a different game is going to be so unique and new and fun, and either everyone's going to hate it. There's so many things that can happen. I'm just going to go along for the ride. That's what I'm most excited for.
Here's the thing, though. I was talking to my uncle, John, Nintendo, and he actually said that the reason that they came out with Mario Wonder was so that they would have a new game style for Mario Maker 3.
Oh, come on, we're all hoping. Don't lie that you're all hoping for that.
I know everybody
huge
wondered
spoilers, but they literally just threw the game together. It's not going to be good, but it's so that they have a new game style for Mario Maker 3.
It's
I
Nintendo.
have the scoop. I have the inside scoop.
It's gonna be even the worst Nintendo games are fun. Even Star Fox, I would say one of my least favorite Nintendo games is Star Fox on the Wii U, and I still loved it. I played it. The controls are insane. You hold the Wii U, you can't look at the TV screen. You have to look at this to shoot, and so all of the beautiful graphics are on the TV. You ain't seeing those. Those aren't for you. Those are, and no one's watching you play Star Fox, so I don't even know why the screen should just be black at that point. But I still had fun with it. But it's Mario. We're going to move left to right. We're going to jump. We're going to find secrets. It's going to be a good time. And I'm excited.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited to see all the new power-ups and everything.
Yeah.
The elephant looks wild. I don't know what they're going to do with that.
I was gonna
Elephantario.
Say, I feel like all of us probably had the same reaction when Mario turned into an elephant in the Direct. I was like, where are they going with this?
Mario's tripping, for sure. Something's going on.
We all get one animal for a power-up. What are you picking, Aldwulf? You get one animal. Elephant's already taken. What are you adding to the Mario universe?
Wolf.
Oh, of course.
I was gonna pick
choice.
Of course.
What does Wolf Mario do? Dig up in the ground, look for secrets underground, use his scent?
Yeah, and he can just absolutely kill Bowser like in one swipe.
All right, so the wolf is just invincible.
One swipe to the eyes.
What color is the wolf? Is it like supersonic gold?
He's
it's just
golden.
Invincible?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You already know.
All right.
Supersonic gold. Actually, I'll show you. I'll post it in the chat here. He looks like this, kind of.
Just beautiful. I love it.
Oh, that's a gorgeous. That's a tier 2 Aldwulf emote that he has posted in the chat, and it is a ramped up golden wolf. That is beautiful.
What about you, Ashley? One animal power up. What are you looking for?
Why do I want to say cheetah? Cheetah's the first thing that came to my mind. Like, just I
They're real fast.
They're real fast. They're predators, and they're cute. Like.
Not as fast as the wolf, though. The wolf is still faster.
What about a cheetah with star power? What would that look like?
Ooh,
it's
on a dash block.
You just see
it's
a streak
just a
of light.
laser beam. You just get to the end of the level.
Gotta go
as soon
fast.
as you collect the power up.
What about you, Paunch?
I've been sitting here trying to figure out what if I had my power up. If I ate some weird looking mushroom on the ground and I transformed into an animal, right? Started wearing are we actually turning into the animals, or are we like
wearing Mario
costumes? What version of Mario are we doing here?
I want alligator Mario. I don't know what it would do. I just love the idea of alligator Mario. Like, maybe he swims faster in water and can eat whatever, and then on land can't jump. But you better believe
he can do barrel rolls really good or something. I don't know.
I just want alligator Mario. I didn't really think this through. I got in over my head when I asked the question.
Oh man, yeah, Mario Wonder looks incredible. I'm super excited to. I don't even know if we'll ever see. I mean, I'm sure they'll put out another trailer at some point. I don't know how much more we're gonna see of this game. It's coming out in like what 3 months in October.
Is it October? Yeah.
I think and I think RPG is in November. I think that's how they have that spaced out.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited. I think this is kind of at least I'm hoping these are kind of like the last things. Switch is starting to wind down a little bit. I think most people are ready for a new platform to come out at this point. It's been a long time been on Switch. We'll see whatever iteration they have coming up next. I don't think we're going to see any massive games like a 3D Mario on the Switch. I don't think so. I think we're going to be waiting until whatever they do next. I could be wrong on that. But
yeah, maybe a new console next year. That'd be something.
That'd be awesome. Some announcement, or at least an announcement of an announcement.
Yeah,
like these companies like to do. Like there's something out there.
Just to be clear, I don't expect Nintendo to have all of these different animals. It's Nintendo. Every Mario game that comes out, they're like, look at this sweet new power-up. And we're all like, what else are we going to get? And then the game starts and the first level has the new power-up. And that's the only new power-up they introduce.
Yep.
They show the tree shake and all the elephant fruits go everywhere. We're only getting the elephant. That's it. That's all.
Have any of you played Zombies Ate My Neighbors?
Love that game.
Pops loves that game.
Okay.
I have not.
That game's so hard, for one thing. But
I've never beat it, but I want them to make it again, but just fix the fact, because you can save it and load it anywhere. Like, they give you passwords every few levels, but the passwords save how many neighbors you have left. So how the game works at like level 1, you have 10 neighbors, and let's say you beat level 1, but you accidentally let 3 of them die. For the rest of the game, you only have 7.
Right.
And you can get really late in the game and only have 1 neighbor left. And literally, you have to figure out where that neighbor is and hope for RNG that little baby with the axe doesn't go kill it before you can get it, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Well, you know the monster juice, right? The monster juice?
Yeah, sorry, I went on a tangent.
That's how the wolf power-up would work. You drink the wolf juice, and you become like the golden werewolf Mario.
Faster than a cheetah,
That's what I'm
longer
envisioning.
trunk than the elephant, better at
just
swimming
smack
than the
everything
alligator.
off the screen. Can break blocks just like just like that old Zombies Ate My Neighbors power-up.
I love it. Oh yeah, you can break through everything.
break through walls.
The only other thing I can think of from the Nintendo Direct that was I'm not super excited, at least not yet. I don't know because they didn't really show much. Was I guess Princess Peach is getting her own game again, a sequel. I'm not super excited about it, but I'm intrigued to see what exactly that is.
I'm 900% sure they have no idea.
Maybe she can go save Mario. You know.
Yeah,
maybe she can go save Mario. For once,
I know. I think it was on.
Get off her lazy
Game
butt.
Boy Advanced. Or was it the Nintendo DS where they released Super Princess Peach? And was that saving Mario? I never played it. I don't know what the overall like story objective would have been in that game.
Mario got abducted by Bowsette.
So I actually
they're making Bowsette canon.
I talked to Aldwulf's uncle, John Nintendo, and he actually gave me the down low. You're going to be driving around in a pink Ferrari, going around trying on outfits. It's going to be incredible, collecting stars on the street. Yeah.
Aldwulf is down for it.
So it is actually just a remake of that Barbie game on Sega Genesis.
They need to, honestly. That's a classic.
Well, I'm the token girl here, so I am so excited about the Peach game. I know they only showed us just a few frames and a couple snippets, but the last time that I can remember being able to control Peach besides like Mario 2 was the Paper Mario games where they would have little segments where you could play as Princess Peach. But I personally have never played a game that she was the star, and my inner 5-year-old girl is just so excited. I will absolutely play it on stream, and I don't care what it is, I'm gonna play it.
My hope is that Mario's a scumbag like he is in Luigi's Mansion. I don't know if you played the most recent, but like when Mario's finally free, he's just a showboater doing flips, doesn't even care that Luigi saved him. And I hope that I love when Nintendo takes Mario and makes him look like the biggest look at me Louie scumbag out there. Like they did. Luigi's Mansion had me crying. Like you want to be like Luigi, and Mario's just like, see it, nerd, I'm the greatest.
They mentioned Luigi's Mansion also in the Direct. What is it coming to Switch?
They're porting the sequel.
Oh,
okay,
Dark Moon, which was a 3DS title, which is actually pretty good. They took the first Luigi's Mansion and made it really long, and then put it on 3DS. But now they're porting that to. It's only been available on 3DS ever, but they're now porting that to Switch. You still can't play Luigi's Mansion 1 on Switch, which that's kind of weird to me that they never ported that one. The weirdest thing about Luigi's Mansion is they made the original Luigi's Mansion they released it on 3DS when the Switch was already out and the 3DS was like about to die. For some reason, they made the decision, we're going to release this on 3DS, and they never brought it to Switch. I don't know why. And now they're going to have the second game, the third game on Switch, but you still can't play the first one. So
well,
I don't know. I don't know what their plans are.
I haven't played any of them. And I'm always the type of person, like, if I'm going to go back and play a game series, I like to play the first one and then, just get through them that way.
So you see the evolution of the series and everything.
Yeah.
They're the best way. The first one is a little bit different than the sequels, but kind of think of Resident Evil, where you go like room to room, explore. Okay, this room, I can't do anything yet. Let me go to a different room. Okay, now I got the key. But also they add the element of fun because catching ghosts is a lot of fun. So it's you're in one location, pretty much the first one, the entire game. But it's just fun to find, okay, this is the right room I want to be in. And then it's a simplified, less intense version of Resident Evil, which I enjoy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it definitely is. Well, I don't know if like Nintendo, I mean, there's always the rumored GameCube coming to Nintendo Switch Online. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. Maybe they'll launch it with Luigi's Mansion. I don't know. But right now, the only way to play Luigi's Mansion is either to get a 3DS, which is you have to mod it if you want to game capture that in any form, or you can emulate it in some fashion as well. That's the only way, unless you have a GameCube with like an upscaler that you can video capture it if you're looking to play it on streaming or something like that. Yeah, those are really your only options at this point. Nintendo likes to do what they do and just make games not accessible any longer for whatever reason.
Pops, what do you got there?
There it is, the original Luigi's Mansion release. Still with the price sticker on it.
How much was it?
$14.99 at Electronics Boutique.
I remember that.
EB Games.
Wow, a relic.
Wonder if I can still get 10% off today.
That's awesome. The other thing I wanted to talk about too is we didn't get to talk about it last episode, but it did happen. Was the Sony also had a cool event? I can't remember. I'm trying to think of a lot. There were some cool announcements, but overall, I mean, they brought one. They said one announcement that was pretty cool. They're bringing the Metal Gear Solid Collection Volume 1. Which, I mean, I've already had another system, so I'm not super stoked about it. I'll still get it because I'll buy anything that's Metal Gear Solid, honestly. But that does give us the possibility of Volume 2, which I'm more interested in. Volume 2, if there's a Volume 2, I'm really hoping we're going to see Metal Gear Solid 4. Maybe. I know Metal Gear Solid 4 was a PS3 title, and I've always been told in order for them to port Metal Gear Solid 4 to literally anything else, they have to rebuild the game from the ground up.
Yeah, that
recode it and everything. And like, so I'm really hoping like that'll be huge if they announce Metal Gear Solid Collection 2 or whatever, and it has Metal Gear Solid 4 in it. Like, that's going to be huge.
I've never played any of the Metal Gear games personally, and I mean, I feel like them putting it on the volumized collection is actually going to make people who never played it play it, and I'm excited to see people play it, but I'm also excited to see people play it for the first time ever on stream. Like, that's always so fun. Like, when you had a game when you were young that people played, and then there's adults that got to play a remaster and you're watching their reaction for the first time. Like, that to me is like such a cool thing to see on Twitch.
Oh yeah, definitely. No, it really is, and I'm excited. I'll still buy it because I'll still buy anything that's Metal Gear Solid. But I think the bigger thing too is that they announced the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake, and they're not even calling it Metal Gear Solid 3. They're just calling it Metal Gear Solid Delta.
Why?
Because Metal Gear Solid 3 is technically first in the as far as the story goes. Mm-hmm. It's technically the first game chronologically if you look at it story wise.
Yeah.
So I depending now, I don't really have a lot of faith in Konami these days. Konami is kind of like, I don't know, they've really taken the back seat. They don't really do much anymore. So I don't really have a lot of faith in them, but I'm really hoping that Metal Gear Solid 3, the remake, or Metal Gear Solid Delta, whatever you want to call it. I hope that they do give it the love that it needs, because everybody loves Metal Gear Solid 3 is like everybody knows that's like the best Metal Gear game. Everybody loves Metal Gear Solid 3. And I'm glad that they're starting with
I don't think I've played.
You haven't played it? Oh,
no.
It's so good. Metal Gear Solid 3 is definitely the I mean, it's a good starting point too, because it's the first in the story, and as far as storyline goes, it's the first, because it's like a prequel to everything that's happened so far.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's an amazing place to start at. I mean, there's still benefits, I think, to playing the first two before that one. I think there's still benefits to playing it in release order, but if chronologically, if you're just looking for story wise, Metal Gear Solid 3 is a great starting point.
Yeah.
And I'm super excited for the re-release. I'll be buying that day one and playing it. I just hope that they give it the love that, like, say, Capcom has done to the recent Resident Evil remakes that have been incredibly well received, and everybody loves them. And I hope, I don't have any faith in Konami, but I hope Konami does Metal Gear Solid right here. Now they don't have Kojima at all involved, from what I understand. Kojima has not even made any comments on it whatsoever. And I just think, I don't know. I don't have any faith, but I'm hoping that Konami does something right here. But I don't know.
So what do you?
They've been kind of just missing for a while.
What are you hoping for most? Like, just better controls? Because I love Metal. I played 1 through 3, and there is the feeling that the controls are out of date. But me as a retro, I love the weird, janky going from first to third person controls. I love that most of the game is about exploring and not really about, there's still a lot of cool things you can do. But for me, I thought that added to the gameplay. But I thought the same thing with Resident Evil. I thought let me keep those tank controls, and then Capcom did that amazing thing. Like, no, you could have the fun of the game, the scariness, but with good controls. And I was like, oh,
yes,
this is great. And I didn't know that. So I'm hoping, like, if they do something like that, that might get me to fall back in love with the Metal Gear Solid series, because I have not played it since 3.
I will say I will be disappointed if it comes out and it's the exact same game, just with brand new graphics. I will be disappointed. I feel like they need to at least do what they did with Metal Gear Solid 5, because Metal Gear Solid 5 is some of the best controls you'll ever see in a third-person game, especially espionage. And I really hope that they bring that Fox Engine 5 or whatever it is that they built solely for that game, and then it just went AWOL because Konami just sat out of everything after Metal Gear Solid 5 came out. They put out that weird Metal Gear Solid Survive that nobody liked without Kojima at the helm. And so they have this awesome Fox engine that was incredible to play Metal Gear Solid 5. So I really hope that they put that to use in the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake, or Metal Gear Solid Delta. I got to get used to calling it that. It's Metal Gear Solid Delta, I guess. They're dropping the number on it.
Yeah, I think I only ever played the first one and the one on PS3. What's that? Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots?
Yeah, that's 4. Yep.
Yeah, I think I played 1 and 4.
That's the one that has so many. That's like watching a movie. It's so good, though.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Metal Gear Solid 1 still holds up. If anybody's watching or listening at some point and you've never played Metal Gear Solid, the first one holds up incredibly
it's such a fun game.
Yes.
The cardboard box and like the boss fight where you have to, spoilers, you have to like unplug your controller and put it in port 2 so he can stop reading your mind or whatever.
So
Mantis.
Wild.
I got stuck forever, and I'm like Aldwulf, where I'm not going to look it up on the internet. If I can't beat it, I can't beat it. But the one thing was Meryl in the first game. It was like, call me on the number, because you have to put in the specific code on the into the radio to call whoever you want to call. Codec, yeah. Call me. My number's on the package. I'm like, I didn't pick up a package. What are you talking about? I looked everywhere. And this is rather early in the game, so I could go back. It was still a hassle. I looked everywhere for a package that I did not pick up. And I was slow and methodical in the game. I'm like, there is no package. I'm as mad as I've ever been. I know I've looked everywhere. So I broke down Aldwulf, and I broke the one commandment, do not cheat on the internet. And I looked it up, and the answer was the package is actually on the back of the box that the game came in, and on the back on one of the pictures, it shows you Meryl's number. And that's how they wanted you to look it up. And I was like, I wasn't mad. I was like, that's clever. All right, you win this round, Kojima. That was like my introduction to Kojima.
That's Kojima for you. That's Kojima for you.
Very clever.
All right. Now, how about we move into some emails here? We do have 2 emails that have come in. As a reminder for our listeners, you can send in an email to email@arcadeparlorcast.com. Again, that's email@arcadeparlorcast.com. We will review the emails, and your email might be featured on an episode here. You can also leave us a voicemail if you want to actually leave a voicemail and listen to it on the podcast here. That the phone number for that is 402-915-1082. You can also leave voicemails in the Discord for Arcade Parlor. You can do that there as well. Ashley, we do have 2 emails that I've provided to you. Would you mind going ahead and reading them? Reading the first one.
Absolutely. This first email comes to us from our dear friend Donald. Donald says, time for the hard-hitting question. Charmander, Squirtle, or Bulbasaur?
Oh, wow. Charmander, Squirtle, or Bulbasaur? I gotta go with my boy Charmander. Just because back in the day, Charizard was the GOAT,
Yes.
And that's it. Short and simple answer, I guess.
I'm Charmander too. The only downside of picking Charmander was I believe the first gym was quite difficult.
Yeah.
If you pick Charmander.
Right.
But yeah, I agree. Fire.
Yeah. No downside.
Grass types stand no chance. I know that.
Oh, yeah. I would never Bulbasaur. Never Bulbasaur for me.
Pops, you said Charmander also?
Oh, yeah. Get out of here. Fire beats water. Fire beats grass. Fire beats electricity.
Wait, fire beats water?
Fire beats everything. Fire beats everything. I'm still a 10-year-old boy. Yeah, fire beats fire.
They don't say fight fire with fire for nothing.
Exactly. Fire beats space. Fire beats time. They say time can't be beaten. Fire beat it. I used Ember.
Fire beat it.
If there's nothing there, fire beats the void.
Exactly.
There you go. Adult me would say Bulbasaur because it's the most versatile as far as moves it can learn. But child Ashley, I was picking Squirtle all day long. I thought the Squirtle squad was so cool with the sunglasses. Squirtle was absolutely my pick. It was my favorite Pokemon as a kid too. So Squirtle was my pick every single solitary time.
Fire beats your opinion.
Acceptable.
Okay.
Fire beats your opinion.
Absolutely.
I'm just kidding. Squirtle Squad was legit. Never liked Bulbasaur. I watched the anime as a kid. Bulbasaur was always like very motherly to the other Pokemon in that episode. That's not me. That's not my person. I like jerks and stupid jerks. And so, Squirtle Squad I got, and Charmander I got. Like, just the fact that he wouldn't listen to Ash doubled his influence on me as a child.
Yes. Agreed. Actually, I think there was a second email as well.
Yes, we had one more email. This one comes to us from our friend Arm Chaotic. This question is for Pancho Taco. It says, Pancho Taco, as the only member of the podcast that has kids, what is it like to have two co-hosts that are kid-free? Do you feel as though you don't relate to them as much due to having kids?
I don't think it has too much impact. I mean, yeah, I'm a dad of two, and I mean, overall, like as far as relating, I don't think it has too much of a difference. My time is definitely different, in that, like, I can't really do much during the day, and that ties me down just to evenings, which of course my amazing wife takes care, make sure that kids stay in bed and stuff like that on the nights that I do my thing 4 times a night or 4 times a week. But overall, I don't think it overly impacts too much. I don't know. I don't think it's too big of a deal personally. Yeah, I don't feel like I unrelate from people too much.
Yeah,
I guess.
I always look forward to your anecdotes about the girls. Honestly, it's kind of cool to hear all your just dad things that you say. So I don't feel like it makes me relate to you less. I feel like it makes you more interesting to me because I'm not married with kids or anything. So
right. Yeah, no, yeah. I mean,
I don't have any kids that I know of. That's good.
Could you be my father, Aldwulf? I think I'm older than you.
Doubt it. I doubt it.
I'm the child of my family.
Let's move on to we're going to be closing down the podcast here in just a little bit here. One thing I will say before we go on to our own self promos here, as far as Arcade Parlor is concerned, we are coming up on 1 year of podcasting. Next month is our 1 year. We have kind of we're working on some ideas for a special kind of podcast, so keep that in mind. Something might be coming up here. As well as in celebration of 1 year, we are planning to do a new AP Plays. If you're familiar with AP Plays, we've done it one time. We're gonna get together on another Saturday and just play some video games. Just the crew here. Maybe we'll have a guest. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Nice. And we'll play some video games in celebration of 1 year. So be on the lookout. We'll have some more communications on social media as well as Discord. But coming up on 1 year of podcasting, super excited. We have a
some
lot
Gauntlet Legends. Play some Gauntlet Legends.
Gauntlet Legends. If it had online play, maybe that would be the game to play.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
It would be. Can you imagine Gauntlet Legends now with like 16 people playing at the same time? How many mobs they could have, and how cool it would be, and just mindless. Oh, it'd be a blast. All right,
it'd be awesome.
Bring back Gauntlet Legends. Awesome.
I don't know what we're going to play yet. We're still kind of talking amongst ourselves what game we're going to be playing and stuff. But be on the lookout. Like I said, on the social medias, Discord, we'll have updates for you guys there. But yeah, we're coming up on 1 year. Super excited for some stuff that we have planned for the podcast here coming up very soon. With that said, let's move into our little self-promos here. Why don't we start with our guest, Aldwulf. Where can people find you?
Yeah, so I'm streaming live on Twitch Sunday through Thursday. My guaranteed hours, if you want to catch me live, are Sunday through Thursday, 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be playing Mario Maker during those hours. I've been doing afternoon streams starting around 1 or 2 p.m. as well. So lately we've been doing like a really long 8-9 hour stream starting in the afternoons and going all the way till 11. So that's Sunday through Thursday. Twitch.tv/Aldwulf, ALDWULF. And then also I have a YouTube channel. I usually post a few videos each week over there. You can find me, same handle, youtube.com/Aldwulf. I'm on Twitter. My handle is @TheRealAldwulf because there's some stinky Aldwulf out there that took my handle however long ago and has never posted anything on Twitter. I actually reached out to Twitter and I was like, listen, this account is like dead. Can I have the name? And I don't think they ever got back to me. So it is what it is. But listen, I'm the real Aldwulf. You have to believe me. What else? I guess that's pretty much it for socials. As far as that goes. Yeah, I don't do TikTok or anything like that. Just haven't really jumped in it. So.
Sure. Okay, awesome. Ashley, what about you?
Hello, I am Ashley Florida. You can find me on twitch.tv/Ashley with 2 E's _FL. I currently stream Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights. I'm going to be introducing a second Saturday stream here pretty soon in the afternoons as well. I'm also on YouTube and Twitter, the same handle, Ashley _FL. And much like others, my handle was stolen on TikTok, so you can find me on TikTok, Ashley with 2 E's _Florida, all spelled out.
Mike, what about you? Where can we find you?
You can go to www.cheesepops.com. It has links to everything. There's an extra P in there, so it's POPPS. That has links to everything. And my YouTube is actually, I have 2 editors now, and they are doing really good work. So if you're used to my YouTube and being like, this is the worst YouTube channel on Twitch, one, you were right before. And there's still a lot of videos that I post that are terrible. But if you go there now, you might actually click on a video and be like, holy smokes, this is actually edited and good. I mean, I'm still on there, so it's still pretty bad, but the editing is good. Let me emphasize that. And yeah, that's pretty much
the self-deprecating humor never gets old.
It's all I got. I grew up with Conan O'Brien, and like all of my humor is based off of Conan O'Brien humor. I can't help it.
As for myself, twitch.tv/PanchoTaco, or you can go to panchotaco.com. It'll redirect you to my Twitch channel. Lately been doing a lot of retro stuff, doing some stuff I don't typically play. Been having an absolute blast doing that. We just got done with a full playthrough of Ocarina of Time for the first time in I haven't played that game in like 15, 20 years. Got done with the first replay through of that with full crowd control enablement. Nice. And that was quite wild. It was the first hour of every stream was me just getting blasted in 300 different directions until people's free coins ran out, or they just decided to start feeling sorry for me. So finally, after 3 months, got finished with that game. But yeah, have some other fun stuff planned for the channel coming up very soon. Yeah, that's it. 9 p.m. Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You can find me there.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, this has been episode 11. Aldwulf, thank you so much for joining the podcast. It's been awesome having you on here.
Yo, thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Go check out Aldwulf if you're listening, if you're watching, however you're consuming this episode right now. Go check out Aldwulf. Show him some love. Check out the channel and hang out.
Something I think we really need to say that wasn't said is Aldwulf is insanely good at Mario Maker.
Oh, yeah.
And we glossed over that, and I know he's humble, chill, and cool, and just fun to talk to. and he was talking about other people being cracked. I almost quit streaming when I started because I'm like, oh, this is fun. I can do it. And then I watched Aldwulf play the game. I'm like, I can't do that. I can't do anything I just saw there. So, like, if you like super chill, fun place to hang out, and absolutely cracked gameplay, Aldwulf is insanely good at the game. And we kind of glossed over that, and it needs to be said.
Thanks, Cheese Pops. I do what I can, man. It's
let's take it down a few notches. I
really love the game.
Let's lower the skill level for a while. Let us other gamers
just throw a little bit more.
Just throw some sandbagging in there and be like, oh, Cheese Pops would have made that jump, you know? Toss us a bone, Aldwulf. Come on.
Okay.
Yeah, one of my favorite streamers out there, one of the best precision players that I watch personally. Thank you so much, Aldwulf, for being here.
Yo, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Definitely. All right, this has been episode 11. We'll catch you guys next time. Next episode should be August 5th. That'll be our 1 year, 12-month episode. Be on the lookout for what we have planned there. We will catch you then. Adios, everybody. Have a good time. May July 4th be with you. Adios.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello. Oh, bye.